You know that feeling, like a little nudge, maybe a persistent whisper telling you there's something more you should be doing. It's almost universal, I think. A dream that just keeps calling, even when everything around you, all the logic says, stay put, be comfortable.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we unpack compelling stories, sometimes dense sources, trying to pull out those surprising nuggets of knowledge that might just shift your perspective a little. And today we're diving into Paolo Coelho's much-loved book, The Alchemist. Our mission, really, is to explore this extraordinary journey of a young shepherd. We want to uncover some universal truths, about finding your true path, getting past obstacles, and maybe understanding that subtle language the world seems to speak to us sometimes.
Indeed. And what's really fascinating, I think, about The Alchemist is that it's not just a story. It feels like it's positioning itself almost as a practical guide for understanding the signals, maybe, the universe sends when you dare to step out of that comfort zone. It's a parable, yes, absolutely, but it's packed with these sort of actionable philosophical ideas that really resonate with anyone who's ever felt that persistent inner call you mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. So let's trace Santiago's first steps onto this path, this pretty extraordinary path, and see what we can learn from it. We start with Santiago, right? The young shepherd in Andalusia. He seems content, wandering with his flock, living that nomadic life. But underneath, he's kind of haunted by this recurring dream. It's always the same thing. A child appears, plays with his sheep, then suddenly transports him to the Egyptian pyramids and points out some hidden treasure. What's often overlooked, though, I think, is the quiet courage it takes just to acknowledge a dream like that when you're already, comfortable.
That's a really sharp observation, because his initial resistance isn't just about fear, is it? It's that very human thing of valuing security, over potential fulfillment, the unknown. And he's already made choices that kind of defy the norm for his family. His parents wanted him to be a priest.
Right.
But he chose the freedom of the fields, of traveling. And his father, surprisingly perhaps, supported him, gave him 3 old Spanish gold coins. You could almost see that choice, that slight deviation from the expected path, as an early omen itself. A little hint that Santiago is maybe predisposed to listen to his own tune.
And this dream keeps pushing him, doesn't it? Almost against his better judgment sometimes, maybe.
Yeah.
He seeks out a gypsy woman in Tarifa to interpret it. She confirms, yes, there's treasure, but then immediately asks for 1/10 of it as payment. Now, this isn't just a simple transaction, is it? There's more going on here.
No, absolutely not. The gypsy woman demanding 1/10 right off the bat. It's not just about getting paid. It's like the first big lesson. Pursuing your personal legend, your dream, isn't passive. It demands something tangible, often something uncomfortable. An investment, psychologically, maybe even materially, that proves you're actually serious about it. It's like the universe asking, okay, are you really in this or just dreaming?
That really sets the stage for the next big encounter. Santiago meets this old man, Melchizedek, who reveals himself quite mysteriously as the King of Salem. And this figure introduces the absolute central concept of the whole story, the personal legend. He calls it a person's only real obligation. And then he makes this really powerful statement. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it, which sounds, almost too good to be true, right?
It does. And maybe that's part of the test. Melchizedek is basically saying your deepest calling isn't just some fleeting wish. It's more like a sacred duty. But he also brings in this really crucial idea. He calls it the principle of favorability. But most people know it as beginner's luck.
Ah, right.
And that initial bit of luck, according to the book, isn't just random chance. The Alchemist suggests it's quite deliberate, almost strategic, you could say, like the universe giving you a little taste.
A hook.
Exactly, hooks. A low-stakes test run to get you invested in your path before the real challenges hit. It validates your direction, gives you a boost, but crucially, it also sets up this expectation of commitment back from you. It reminds you that real rewards need real investment. And for Santiago, that immediate tangible investment is selling 1/10 of his flock. It proves he's willing to actually start the journey.
But Melchizedek doesn't just leave it at beginner's luck. He also delivers this really profound warning about what he calls the world's greatest lie. This is a concept that might just shake, your own assumptions about fate and destiny. He says it's that at a certain point in our lives, we lose control of what's happening to us and our lives become controlled by fate.
Wow.
Yeah, and then he challenges Santiago directly. Reject this lie. He reminds him, look, you chose to be a shepherd. You defied expectations before. You set your own path. It's such a powerful call to personal agency, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's like the antidote to just giving up and saying, oh, well, it's fate. The book isn't saying you control every little thing that happens to you, obviously. But it's strongly asserting that you always, always have agency in how you choose to respond, what direction you take, and how committed you are to that inner calling. It's not about denying that challenges exist out there,
Right.
but about reasserting the power of your own internal compass, your own choices. Melchizedek is basically telling Santiago, and us, I suppose, that the moment you truly commit to your personal legend, you tap into this current, this flow that was kind of just waiting for you to join it.
So Santiago does it. He sells his sheep. He feels that initial rush, the beginner's luck maybe, and he travels to Tangier, Africa. He's full of optimism, convinced this journey is blessed, this is it. And then almost immediately, bam, he's robbed, loses everything.
Everything, yeah.
It's devastating. He weeps, feels betrayed, totally alone. He even feels, the book says, that God is unfair, that his belief in dreams was foolish, that he's been punished for it. That moment of despair, feeling God was unfair.
Yeah.
It's so raw, so relatable, isn't it? That's the point where, let's be honest, most of us might just throw in the towel.
Oh, absolutely. Buy a bus ticket home, swear off chasing dreams forever.
Right.
Yeah. And this is where I think the genius of the book really shows. It doesn't sugarcoat the setbacks, it doesn't pretend it's all easy, but it shows that even in that rock bottom moment, the tools, the wisdom you've already picked up, they're still there. You just have to reconnect with them. For Santiago, he remembers the practical things the king gave him, Urim and Thummim, these two stones for discernment, for asking questions.
Right, the black and white stones.
Exactly. They're not just magic trinkets, though. They represent the power of simple, clear guidance when your own judgment gets clouded by doubt and fear. The fact that they literally fall out of his pouch right then, that's an omen in itself, isn't it? A little physical nudge from the universe, reminding him to trust his intuition. Maybe make his own decisions instead of always looking for external answers. And he has this realization. This wasn't a strange place, it was a new one. He learns that some questions maybe are best answered by just taking action.
So with no money left, he has to take a job. He starts working for a crystal merchant. Now, this merchant is a kind man, but he's living with his own deeply unfulfilled personal legend. He has this lifelong dream to visit Mecca, but he's just too afraid to actually do it. He says he prefers just to dream about it. He worries that if he actually went, he might be disappointed.
That's such a common human thing, isn't it? That fear of disappointment being worse than the actual longing.
It's a fantastic contrast for you, the listener, to see right there. The crystal merchant completely embodies that comfort trap, the security of keeping a dream safely as just a dream. But Santiago, even after his huge setback, he still carries what the book calls the language without words. This mix of enthusiasm, focus, purpose. He doesn't just, clock in and clock out. He invests his spirit into the merchant's failing business. Yeah, he comes up with ideas.
Right. He suggests building a display case outside to attract people, then selling tea in the crystal glasses. Things that literally help the merchant's business shine again. And this isn't just about him being a good salesman. It's showing the transformative power that comes from someone living their purpose, even if it's indirectly helping someone else.
Yeah.
He's learning that his own energy, his intent, can actually manifest positive change in the world around him.
And it works. After almost a year, he saves up enough money to buy twice the number of sheep he had before. He's successful by any normal measure. He's comfortable again, respected. But he realizes this still isn't his treasure. This isn't the dream. And he really grapples with it, doesn't he? That pull of the comfortable, settled life versus the unknown path. He actually thinks, who knows? Maybe it's better to be like the crystal merchant. Never go to Mecca and just go through life wanting to do so. That moment of doubt where the safe path looks so appealing after everything he's been through, that's probably the most realistic part of the whole journey for a lot of us, right?
It's the human crossroads, isn't it? He's achieved this local, practical success. And the temptation to just declare that his personal legend, to say, okay, good enough, must be immense. It's a really profound internal conflict. Settling for a good life versus pushing on for the potentially great but totally uncertain one. And this internal debate is so crucial because it shows the obstacles aren't just external, like getting robbed. Sometimes the biggest obstacle is the insidious comfort of the almost or the good enough. It highlights that pursuing your true path isn't just about overcoming thieves and deserts. It's about overcoming your own deep-seated desire for security and predictability.
But he chooses to keep going. Santiago leaves the crystal shop, his comfort zone again, and joins a caravan heading across the vast Sahara Desert. And here he meets two really contrasting figures. There's an Englishman who's completely obsessed with alchemy in his book, searching for the philosopher's stone. And then there's a very practical, grounded camel driver. What do these two characters sort of represent for Santiago's learning journey at this point?
Well, they really represent two very different ways of trying to understand the world, two paths to knowledge. The Englishman is all about the intellectual, the theoretical. He believes understanding comes from studying rare books, ancient formulas, abstract concepts. He wants to learn about the world from texts.
Okay.
The camel driver, on the other hand, embodies practical, lived wisdom. He emphasizes living right here, right now, in the present moment. He's constantly observing, adapting to the desert's realities. He keeps saying, if you can concentrate always on the present, you'll be a happy man.
Yeah.
And he often uses the word maktub.
It is written.
Exactly. Which for him isn't about passive fatalism, like, oh, well, can't do anything.
Yeah.
It's more about accepting what is, the reality of the situation, and then acting effectively within that reality. It's a kind of grounded acceptance.
And Santiago starts to find that just watching the desert, listening to the wind, feeling the rhythm of the caravan, it actually teaches him more than poring over the Englishman's complicated books. He even at one point throws his own book away. What's happening there? Is he rejecting knowledge altogether, or is it more about transforming how he learns?
Oh, he's definitely transforming how he learns. It's a total shift. He's moving away from just accumulating acquired knowledge from outside sources towards developing experiential wisdom from within and from direct observation. The book seems to be saying that sometimes the deepest lessons aren't found in texts, but in this direct, intuitive understanding of the world around you. He starts to intuitively grasp what the book calls the universal language,
Right.
which isn't spoken words, but it's communicated through signs, symbols, omens, feelings. The interconnectedness of everything. It's learning to listen to the soul of the world, not just read scholarly treatises about it.
Then they arrive at the oasis, Al Fayoum, and this brings another really profound shift. He meets Fatima, a woman of the desert, and he falls instantly in love. This feels like a crucial test, doesn't it? A potential derailment of his quest. Choosing between the immediate comfort and joy of love and the continued difficult pursuit of his treasure. Many stories might end here, you know? Hero finds love, quest forgotten.
It does feel like that pivot point.
Yeah.
But this is where the Alchemist takes a really interesting turn. Fatima, unlike, say, the crystal merchant who represents settling, she understands Santiago's path.
Right.
She's a woman at the desert. She's accustomed to the idea that men sometimes have to leave, have to follow their path in order to eventually return.
Right.
She encourages him.
Really?
Yeah. She essentially says, go pursue your personal legend. She knows that true love, the kind connected to destiny, will endure that separation. It has to, for the sake of fulfilling what's written, Maktub. So she becomes a source of strength for his quest, not an obstacle to it, which really challenges that common narrative that you have to sacrifice personal ambition for love or vice versa. Here, love actually supports the ambition.
And then finally, the alchemist himself appears. The ultimate guide, really. This happens after Santiago sees a vision, two hawks fighting in the sky, which he interprets as an omen of an invading army. He takes a huge risk, warns the tribal chieftains at the oasis, puts his life on the line by trusting this omen, this intuition.
Exactly. And the alchemist recognizes this act. He sees Santiago is ready for the next level of learning. He tests him, pushes him hard, telling him to trust his heart above all else. And then comes that famous scene where he challenges Santiago to literally turn himself into the wind, to connect deeply with the desert, the wind, the sun, and ultimately what the book calls the hand that wrote all.
This seems to demonstrate his mastery of the soul of the world, but what exactly is the soul of the world in the context of this book? It sounds quite abstract.
It is quite abstract, but it's central. The soul of the world is basically Coelho's concept for this universal consciousness, or maybe a life force, an energy that connects and permeates everything. People, animals, plants, rocks, the desert, the wind, everything is part of it and connected through it. It's the underlying energy of all existence, the source of the omens, the intuition, the universal language. So Santiago turning into the wind isn't meant as like literal magic in a fantasy novel sense. It's symbolic of his ability to finally communicate with and truly understand and even embody this universal energy. He's not just understanding the world intellectually anymore. He's becoming part of its flow, part of its consciousness. It's the realization deep down that all things are interconnected, are one. And by understanding himself deeply, he can understand the universe.
Okay, so this whole encounter with the alchemist is really the peak of Santiago's learning curve, isn't it? Beyond that amazing turning into the wind moment, what specific lessons here do you think are most critical, for us, for the listener to really take away?
Absolutely. It's the culmination. And yeah, beyond the spectacle, the alchemist distills some incredibly powerful insights. First, there's wherever your heart is, that is where you'll find your treasure. which isn't just about a physical spot on a map, right? It's about aligning your deepest, truest desires, your heart, with your actions. Your heart becomes your compass.
Makes sense.
And then he delivers this really profound, almost counterintuitive truth about the fear of suffering. He says that fear is worse than the suffering itself. And crucially, that no heart has ever suffered when it goes in search of its dreams, because every second of the search is a second's encounter with God and with eternity.
Wow. Just think about that for a second. How often do we stop ourselves? Not because something is actually hard, but because we're afraid it will be hard. We anticipate the pain or the failure. It's that internal story we tell ourselves about potential suffering that often holds us back way more than the suffering itself ever could.
Exactly right. The Alchemist completely reframes suffering here. It's not presented as an endpoint or something to be avoided at all costs. It's positioned as an integral part of the process, almost like a necessary purifier, maybe. The book suggests that the very act of seeking, of striving, of aligning yourself with your true purpose, it imbues every single moment, even the painful ones, with meaning. It elevates the experience beyond just pain. It's about finding the divine or the eternal within the struggle itself. It suggests that if your pursuit truly comes from your heart, from your personal legend, then the suffering you encounter along the way gets transformed. It becomes part of a deeper experience, rather than just something negative you should have avoided.
So it's less about trying to dodge all the challenges and much more about changing your relationship with them. Recognizing that the growth, the learning from the challenge, that is a huge part of the treasure itself.
That's a profound shift in perspective for anyone facing a big leap or a difficult path. Okay, so guided by the Alchemist now, Santiago finally reaches the pyramids in Egypt. He sees a scarab beetle, which he recognizes as an Egyptian symbol for God, and takes it as the final omen. He starts digging in the sand, right where his tears had fallen earlier in his journey. He's there. He's made it. The climax is here.
But just as he's about to find it, he gets attacked, robbed and brutally beaten by some refugees, warriors fleeing a tribal war. This is it, the ultimate test, the darkest hour before the dawn that the alchemist specifically warned him about.
That moment where the book says the victor's being severely tested, it feels designed almost cosmically to make him want to give up right when he's literally inches away from his goal. It's like the final, brutal stripping away of everything external. All his effort, his journey, seems to lead to this violence and loss. It leaves him with absolutely nothing but his own inner resolve. The question had almost screamed at him, after everything you've been through, do you still believe?
And then comes this incredibly surprising, almost unbelievable twist. The leader of the thieves, the refugees, he starts talking to Santiago, and he tells him about his own recurring dream.
Yeah, get this.
A dream about a treasure hidden back in Spain, buried under a sycamore tree in a ruined church.
Which is the exact place Santiago started his journey from. The ruined church where he used to sleep with his sheep.
Incredible.
It's mind-blowing, isn't it? The physical treasure was always back home. But he had to undertake the entire journey. He needed the lessons. He needed the robbery in Tangier, the time with the crystal merchant, crossing the desert, meeting the Englishman and the camel driver, falling in love with Fatima, being tested by the alchemist. He needed all of that transformation to truly understand and appreciate what was waiting for him. Without the journey, without becoming the person capable of understanding the omens and the soul of the world, the treasure would have been meaningless. Maybe he wouldn't have even noticed it or recognized its significance. It wouldn't have been his treasure in the same deep, earned way.
So he returns to Andalusia, finds the ruined church, digs under the sycamore tree, and finds the chest of gold and jewels, and he thinks, it's true, life really is generous to those who pursue their personal legend. And now he's truly ready to return to Fatima. Not as the naive shepherd boy who left, but as a man transformed. A man who has found not only his material treasure, but far more importantly, has learned these invaluable, profound lessons about the soul of the world and his own unique place within it. You know, Santiago's whole journey from being just a humble shepherd to becoming someone who could, symbolically at least, speak to the wind. It's such a beautiful illustration, isn't it, of how pursuing your personal legend isn't just about getting to a destination or finding a specific thing.
Exactly. It's really all about the profound transformation you undergo along the way. It's about learning that universal language, the language of the heart, of omens, of intuition. And it's about discovering that the true treasure often isn't just the gold coins or the end result. It's the wisdom, the self-awareness, the connection to something bigger than yourself that you gain on the path. It's about becoming the person you were always meant to be. The ultimate treasure wasn't just the gold. It was the fully realized Santiago who returned home.
So this deep dive into The Alchemist, it really leaves us with a powerful thought, maybe something for you to reflect on. What kinds of treasures might be hidden, metaphorically speaking, in your own backyard, waiting for you perhaps to embark on your own journey of self-discovery to uncover them? And maybe ask yourself, how might your own heart be trying to speak to you right now about your dreams, about your own personal legend, urging you maybe to overcome that very real fear of suffering and take that first step onto your own unique path?